I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
Hello guys! First of all, I would like to apologize for the unnecessarily long intro, but I hope you enjoyed it. And second of all, if you are only tuning to our channel now, you probably never heard of the Gandalf Gambit, so let me briefly explain what it is about. So you play for the modern Scandinavian with knight to f6, and then against the move pawn to c4, which is the second most played line, you can now go ahead and sacrifice the e-pawn and immediately follow it up with sacrificing the f-pawn. And also you lose your castling rights. So this is a weird position, and black hang two pawns, but in return got a really rapid development. And also this is a quite tricky situation right here because there is only one correct move for white, and that is knight to f3. And actually any other move is already a mistake or even a losing blunder. So if we look at the most played moves, knight to f3 gets played roughly 50% of the time, and anything else is scoring heavily for black. If you would like to learn more about all sorts of traps in this opening, I highly recommend you to watch my original video, which is a 1 hour long analysis of all sorts of traps that can arise from this position. But in today's video, I would like to focus on the line where white avoids all the trouble in the opening and plays correctly. So knight to f3, here we can respond with knight to c6. Now the only move is bishop to e2, and after knight to d4, the only correct solution is to get these knights traded. And now since we are hitting the f2 pawn, threatening a checkmate, the response is forced. They need to get castled. So in this position, let me explain. In my old video, I was recommending the continuation with the rook to e8, going for this really amazing queen sacrifice trap, which I will demonstrate. And look at this, rook to e8 is the most played move here. It is very flattering that you guys played what I recommended, but today we are going to be changing this for a better move. But just to show you, after rook to e8, white potentially could walk into this trap with something like knight to c3, now knight to g4, hitting the f2. Usually they got scared and traded the knight for the bishop. Now their queen is hit, and after, for example, queen to b3, we play this sneaky king to g8, clearing our king from this file, getting ready for this queen sacrifice, which works against pretty much all of normal looking moves, like for example knight to d5 is the most played one. You can go ahead and sacrifice the queen on f2, and it is a forced checkmate. They can either move their king and then you capture the rook with mate, or they can capture the queen and get hit with this beautiful back rank Gandalf pin checkmate. Yeah, but the issue with this line is that white has some easy to find moves to avoid all of this trouble, and that's why I revisited this and I came up with a better solution. And let me tell you, back in the days that I was analyzing this, there were hardly any games in this position, but now there is like quite some number of games. And look at this move, bishop to g4, it scores pretty nicely. So after bishop to g4, which is my new recommendation, what is going on? Well, white is still up 2 points of material, and they are told that when up in material, they should just simplify and get pieces traded off quickly, and then they will end up in a winning endgame. So, as you can see, 2 out of 3 guys in this position will happily just go ahead and capture this bishop, which is not the correct approach here. Actually, they should just stick with developing their stuff and they will be fine. But more about these variations in some future video. In today's video, I want to just talk about what happens after bishop captures on g4. Well, we are going to recapture with our knight, and now we have already 3 attackers on the f2 pawn. So what does white do about it? Well, they, of course, would like to add some defender. And look at this, nearly 90% of the players are going to play queen to f3, such a strong move. Putting pressure here, defending f2. Also this move comes with a tempo on our king. Now our king is sort of forced to go and hide in the corner, which would block our rook from accessing the game, right? Wrong. Because here we can surprise our opponent with the move, the amazing king to g6. Believe it or not, but after this move, white actually lost all of their advantage, and Mr. Stockfish claims that this position is draw. Don't believe me? Have a look at this. So what's going on? They should now play knight to c3, but looking at the most played moves, they play either d3 or h3, but those are all losing blunders. So have a look at d3. We can now quickly pile the pressure on the f2 pawn. Our rooks are very fast to join the attack. And now here people are trying to go for the queen exchange, but it doesn't really help them because we are still hitting the f2 pawn with so many of our attackers. And here they might actually also go ahead and blunder and capture with the rook, but after we recapture, they are totally done. Look at this, for example, knight to c3. We can join with our last piece to the game. And now what do they do? If they try to develop the bishop desperately to cover the back rank mate, they still get hit with back rank mate because it is a double checkmate. All right, and the other move, pawn to h3, we can already go ahead and capture on f2 with our knight, and no matter what they recapture with, our rooks once again join the fight from the f file. Now here, I suppose most guys will try to go and check our king, but this only makes our king more active. And even after this queen trade, look at this. It's funny how in all sorts of lines, our king is actually the piece helping with the checkmate. For example, this one guy played knight to c3. This is forced checkmate in 5 moves, like this. Now our second rook comes to the game, and there is no stopping this. They can throw in the horse, but we just take it. And now they have nothing to do but get checkmated like this. Alright, let's go back. So the two most played moves after king to g6 are losing blunder, which you can punish easily. The correct solution is to play knight to c3, or yes, there is also this move pawn to b4, very weird engine line where white actually sacrifices a whole bunch of stuff but get repetition checks in the end, but I don't think anybody would be playing this. Let's have a look at the correct move, knight to c3. Well, in this variation, once again, our rooks are coming to the f file. And now, let me turn off the engine. This is still a draw because they can go ahead and give us this check. We are not going to exchange the queens, not on their terms. We are going to block this check with our rook. And now in this position, white has the last opportunity to bail out and don't lose this game. If they play this repetition of these checks just like this. So this would be a draw, but I mean, who would be playing this? Who? I don't know. Of course, everybody is going to be exchanging the queens, thinking that they are up in material. They need the queen exchange, right? Well, after this, we are of course going to recapture with our bishop. And in this position, what's going on? Well, if we can't, we can still see that we are hitting the f2 pawn with 3 of our forces, and they have only 2 defenders. So how about they just go ahead and make their knight jump to e4 to help supporting the f2 pawn? Well, this is once again a losing blunder, and we can go ahead and harass this knight with our rook. Yeah, they can protect it with the pawn, but it doesn't help them. We are now quickly going to capture on f2, and if they recapture back and we capture with the rook, and if they dare to recapture this, well, they get hit with the old Gandalf Gambit mate again. Okay. Somewhat better move would be to play knight to d1 to support the pawn from here, but this would be still much better for black, and they would really have to come up with this weird combination of moves where in the end some random rook to b1 is the correct solution. But anyways, the most correct approach here for white, if we turn on the stockfish, is to play pawn to g3. Because with this move, they are creating a luft for their king on the light square, which is important because we have a strong dark square bishop. And also, sort of a game plan for them to survive would be to maneuver this knight to this square so it can block our rooks from attacking. But they are actually slow to do that, and we can go ahead and pile another piece of pressure on the f2. And what do they do here? For example, if they desperately try to add another defender on the f2 with something like knight to e4, this is once again losing, and we can go ahead and start trading on the f2 square, because after all of these exchanges, the issue for white is they are heavily underdeveloped. This bishop is not making it out any soon, and since the bishop is blocked, also the rook is blocked, and on top of it we are creating some nasty threats with this discovery check. So what I find to be like a natural move here for white is to maybe try to move the king out of the discovery check, but this walks into the line of the intro and we can activate our king. So for example, they will push pawn to d3 to open the dark square bishop, but our king is just walking straight to go ahead and make a checkmating net on the white king. So for example, after this move, this is like -10 if you ask Stockfish, because they have to start giving up some material to prolong the game, as you can see. This is a deadly checkmate threat, and they have to hang the bishop like this to survive a little bit longer. Okay, let's go back. So, if knight to e4 is not the correct move here, then what it is? So, the correct move is knight to e2. As I mentioned, they want to go for this knight to f4 maneuver, but they are too late. We can, in this variation, once again go ahead and capture here. Or let me just point out, in this position, if they wouldn't capture the rook, but they would capture Gandalf, it's not like anybody would play this, but there is a funny checkmate here, so I want to show you. So we capture this with check, the king goes up, and the king goes to h3. Now this check sacrificing the knight, and here we have a beautiful pawn to h5 checkmate. So it looks like our king is actually stabbing the white king with the pawn with a checkmate. Yeah, just a fun light I wanted to share with you. So of course they cannot do that. They have to keep exchanging on the f2, and here they have to play king to g2. Now I turned off the stockfish so you don't get spoilers of our next move, because here comes some crazy moves. By the way, king to h1 would be a losing mistake again. But here we have this interesting move. We go bishop to e3 and hang the Gandalf. So the Gandalf is hanging, but they cannot capture it. The best move here for them is to play knight to f4 check, and here we would just capture this knight and get this position where we are better, and especially if they would decide to go ahead and activate their king, harassing both of our pieces. This is once again a losing blunder here. But I don't actually think anybody will get to this point. If they played all the correct moves and got to this position, this is where we just crush them, because we hang the Gandalf, and I believe like most natural thing to do is to just go ahead and capture it. But of course, they can see that they are going to be hit with this fork. But now this is tricky, because actually the king has to go back. But it looks like a maybe nice move to go forward and hit this knight. Because yes, we are winning their knight, but they will get our knight and they will actually be up a piece, alright? Well, so let's see. King to h3. Well, in this position, we are going to play pawn to h5, protecting our knight, and now we have a checkmate threat of rook captures on h2, right? But they can stop this. They can go ahead and play knight to f4 check, They force our king to get closer, but now our king is covering this square, and this will be important later. And what do they do now? Well, they can go ahead and play knight to g2 because it blocks the rook from checkmating the white king, right? So they are surviving. But don't worry, this is still a forced checkmate, but there is only one correct move that leads to the checkmate, and this one is like super tricky to find. So go ahead and try to find it. So I wonder if you found the move, and the move is rook to d2. This is the only move that works and will resolve in a checkmate on the next turn, as there is no protection against knight to f2 checkmate. And the reason only rook to d2 works is that it blocks this diagonal. If we would play the rook to some other square, for example e2, now they actually have this move pawn to e4, discard, check, and now actually they are not only surviving, they are slightly better here. So yeah, this is the crazy solution. Rook to d2, and now they are done and we win. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this new line in the Gandalf Gambit. Let me know what you think, if you enjoyed the intro, and yeah, have fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.